Entrepreneurs aren't born, they are made through failures, breakthroughs, and relentless hustle. Welcome to the Empowered Entrepreneur TV show. This is your host Rohit Soni, airing across 185 countries, 26 plus TV networks, 100 plus podcast stations. This is where visionaries share their unfiltered journeys, strategies, and game-changing insights. Your success story starts here. This is more than just a show, it's a movement. Watch, learn, and elevate. So, hello everyone, welcome back to the Empowered Entrepreneur TV show, season 2. This is your host Rohit Soni, and today in this first episode of season 2, we're gonna be taking things a little deeper in terms of mindset, performance, business, how to scale it, and stuff like that. And I have two amazing guests, which I'll introduce to you within a minute, but I want to set the tone straight immediately. I want to make sure whoever is going to watch this show, they take their notes, they share it with someone who wants to love learning entrepreneurship, business, scaling, performance, productivity, all these things. Because the show is for that. Today's guests are going to share with you deep insights. So I want to make sure if you are here, you stick till the end and you learn each and every strategy that's being shared with you today, which takes me to the guest for today's show. First is Oliver Thompson. He's a high-performance coach, best-selling author, and keynote speaker with over 25 plus years of experience. Oliver has helped global brands and leaders create measurable results through mindset mastery and strategic behavior change. Known for his book, How to Train Your Business Brain, Oliver combines neurolinguistics and behavioral psychology to drive transformation, especially after overcoming the collapse of his business in 2012, which he'll share the story with us today. I'll quickly have Oliver on the stage. And then we also have Chris Gault, who is a high-performance coach and master NLP practitioner who guides entrepreneurs and SME leaders around the world through his high-stakes transitions with clarity and confidence. He's known for blending strategic planning with mindset evolution to unlock personal and professional breakthroughs. His mission right now is to create lasting change through upskilling, resilience, and conscious performance. So I'll have Chris on the stage as well. So how's everyone doing?
Very good. Yeah, really good to see you. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Ollie. Hi, Rohit. Thanks very much for having me here.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing here is change, right? We want to talk about change. We want to talk about transformation. We want to talk about how to actually elevate yourself to the next level, right? So first of all, for starting with you, Oliver, could you tell us a little bit more about your journey, and then Chris to you as well?
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure. I've been self-employed for just over 25 years, which is a feat in itself, right? But lots of people think that being self-employed is a really exciting and straightforward process. But as a lot of people know who'll be listening to this conversation, it's far from that. It's a tricky, difficult process experience. It's joyful, it's exhilarating, it's exciting, but it's also a big challenge. And I, more than anyone else, have been through a few challenges, especially sort of between 2008 and 2012, where the UK, had a huge recession. Then it had Brexit and a sort of another mini recession. I had to learn what we call bounce back ability, because I literally nearly went bankrupt. And it's stressful, and you question yourself, and you know who your friends are and who your tribe are, right? And you need to have that self-belief and that self-confidence that can get you through adversity. And it is so difficult. But if you can apply some of the skills that Chris and I will give you today, I can assure you through real life examples, and I am a case study for that they do work. It's not just neuroscience to make you happy. It's behavioral psychology and neuroscience to make you successful.
Love that. And Chris, could you share a little bit about you as well, please?
Yeah. So from my perspective, I've throughout the careers I've had, I've worked through many different industries, many different businesses. And I've always been involved in helping them scale, and I've had a real strong passion and focus on the people within those businesses and observing people and how they behave and how they respond to challenges, and reflected on myself through my own life as well, on how I respond and reflect to challenges and situations that you find yourself in. And so over time, I've taken those experiences that I've had in many different businesses, and I've developed myself. I've worked and trained with Ollie, is how I first met him, and then we've worked together since, to take those lived experiences and help others understand them and apply them to their own lives, ambitions. So for me, it's come from a passion of people, observation, and I'm all about helping others choose helpful mindsets and helpful behaviors that gives them the life they want, the success that is specific to them.
I love that. And I believe it's all both in your experiences that there have been instances, there have been setbacks, there have been things where things are not going to clarity, right? Where there have been roadblocks as well, right? And we'll talk a lot more about those things. So, Oliver, starting with you, could you tell us a little bit more on about 2012, right, when your business collapsed, and how it changed your leadership philosophy, that exact moment?
Absolutely. So after starting my business, I mean, I'm just passionate about my job. It's not a job, actually. It's a life's purpose. I think if you can leverage what you do as a career as something that you're really passionate and emotional about, and you enjoy, they say you don't work a day in your life, and I was in that stage, right? And then the sort of recession hit and Brexit hit, and I was flying. I had 5 staff. I had a lovely office, a nice training room, nice car, all the sort of stuff you can think of that you go, right, I'm doing well, all the measurables, and financially the business was solid and sound, but then you can't control the uncontrollables. So I can't control what the banks are doing, what governments are doing. And so obviously when all those problems hit, a lot of my clients were not British clients. They were based in Europe. A lot of my work came from Europe and America. And so 2 of my main clients, their businesses collapsed. And so essentially, to cut a long story short, in 24 hours, my business went from turning over £1 million a year to minus around about £88,000, right? So I had to close my office, get rid of my staff who were my friends. We had a great relationship, and had a car back and reevaluate everything. I had to sell my flat, and to stop myself from going bankrupt, I had to make some really tough decisions. But one of the tough decisions I made was to actually do nothing for a month. I had enough money just personally to do nothing for a month and just to sit, decompress and reflect. And then in that month, what I did is I just reached out to some trusted allies, friends, family members. And I just said, what would you do if you were me? And I'm lucky enough to know a really fantastic entrepreneur, multimillionaire, started many businesses. And I spent some time with him. And he said, just start again, but don't have staff, don't have an office. You don't need it. You can actually do this on your own. And funnily enough, you could almost do a lot of your work as a nomad, a working nomad, a digital nomad, even back then. And so I redesigned my business just as me, Oliver Thompson Training. And I reached out to my existing clients and contacts who I knew were solid. And believe it or not, the following 12 months were probably the best 12 months I've ever had, emotionally, financially, just really, really exciting and stable. And I just simplified and distilled my business down to just the manageables and the measurables that I could control. And I just had faith that I could manage the strategies and the tools myself that I'd been teaching other people. And it works. The mindset tools, the business strategy, the networking, all of those 3 elements came together. And I've never looked back really since then.
Well, that just shows that if you're willing to find a way, even in adversity, you can, no matter what.
Yeah.
Be it COVID, be it Brexit, be it financial challenges that may come in any business owner's life or anyone's, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, which leads me to Chris, right? Like, according to you, Chris, like when people come to you during moments of uncertainty, right? What's the first thing you can help them get clear on? they don't know where to go?
The first thing I do is I just try and strip everything back. I get them to stop for a moment, pause, and I just say, look, what is it you're trying to achieve? What is the outcome look like, feel like, sound like? What is the purpose and the reason why you're working towards that outcome? And what are the values that are going to get you there? And if they can be clear on the outcome, the purpose and the values, they're your foundations of growth. They're what you always can refer back to. So when you do start taking a step forwards again and you start making decisions on what are the metrics I need to measure, what are the actions I need to take, the decisions I need to make, they need to remain true to your purpose and values and lead you towards your outcome. But the first thing I do to help someone get clarity when they're uncertain is I just get them to stop. It's just stop for a moment. Like Ollie said, he took a month out. Just stop. It doesn't matter. Slow down. There's that saying, you got to slow down to speed up. And it's true. Slow down. Just pause. Let's remember why we're here, what we're trying to achieve, why it's important to us. Let's just focus on that first. And that's one of the first things I do with someone.
I love it. And I believe when we are going through a phase where there's lack of clarity, it's much better to stop than make any mistake. And then you learn from it and then you grow from it, right?
Yeah, I think it's important to make mistakes because you know, failure is feedback and you can take those mistakes and learn from them. But you need to take that pause first and understand where you're going, because once you know where you're going and those mistakes happen, you can learn from them and adapt to keep going in the right direction. But some people just keep making mistake after mistake after mistake because they're confused, they're lost, they don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Which leaves us to going to a quick short break right now. But when we come back, Chris and Oliver will walk us through what most goal-setting systems miss and how to architect your outcomes like a high performer. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. As a coach or a consultant, your focus should be on transforming lives, not struggling to get clients. That's where my company Amplify Media comes in to help you not just scale your business, but to consistently give you the revenue that your business deserves. We actually build a done-for-you lead generation acquisition system that brings in clients consistently so that you don't have to worry about where the next client is coming in. You focus on the most important thing that is scaling your business and impacting your own coaching clients. From high-impact marketing and scroll-stopping content to expert funnel creation, we take your business from point A to point B with precision. Coaches and consultants worldwide trust the company. We have over 277 plus clients, case studies all around the world, help tons and tons of businesses scale. So your next level is waiting. Let's make your brand unforgettable and visit the website today. I would love to offer you a free strategy session to share with you how we can help scale your business. Thank you. So hello everyone, welcome back to the Empower Entrepreneur TV show season 2. This is your host Rohit, Soni, and today I'm with amazing guests Oliver and Chris. And we were discussing before the break happened, Oliver and Chris, that there has been times in life where there's uncertainty, there has been setbacks, and how to overcome that. And the key feedback that our audience and we got was, you got to stop sometimes. Stop and adjust and see what you can do. Like try, fail, and adjust, right? So moving forward, Oliver, like if you could break down your idea of outcome architecture, like why does it outperform traditional goal setting according to you in terms of performance?
Great question. Okay, so outcome architecture, Chris and I have named it outcome architecture simply because if you can imagine building your dream house, okay, you imagine it first, and then what you do is you have so much detail to that property, don't you? You walk through it in your mind, literally the rooms, the garden, etc. Even the door handles are really important when you're visualizing this dream home, because you've got to spend the rest of your life in it potentially. But then, of course, what you have to do, you have to start planning to build a house, the budget, who's going to help you, right? Where's it going to be? How long is it going to take? What's the equipment that you need? So these are the strategies that you need to build that house. Now, your brain, as we know, has two sides to it. It has the rational, logical, strategic side, but it also has the intuitive, creative, imaginary side. So outcome architecture combines both sides of the brain, and it also activates the RAS, reticular activating system. Okay. Now, what this does is a part of your brain that builds visualization through managing your senses and your sensory experience. And athletes and sports psychologists know all about visualization, okay? Because your brain doesn't know the difference between internal reality and external reality. I don't know whether you knew that, okay? But what you build in here, you can build out there. If you can imagine it, you can do it. So what you have to do is be really, really precise with the business you're building or the goal that you're setting, and see it, hear it, and feel it in your mind consistently. We call it the theater of your mind, because you're the star of the show, right? And you're also directing the show. But simple goal setting where you write down your goal and then hope for the best and put a few little steps in there, it's just not enough, right? So you have to activate the thinking behind this through your visual stimulus. See it, hear it, feel it. Then you repeat the process consistently with you in that image. And then what we have to do is use the sort of rational, logical side of the brain, all right? And that is the process and the strategy. And outcome architecture starts asking you questions around that goal and starts taking action. And this is where most people fall down when it comes to goal setting. So there's a part of your brain called the hippocampus and the amygdala. The hippocampus is memory, amygdala is emotion, and they are formed at a very early age. But the thing is, you don't have any memories before the age of 2. I don't know whether you know this. That's because the hippocampus is being formed, okay? And then from the ages of 2 to 7, you start building these two elements of your brain. But actually, what makes us sort of more intelligent than a chimpanzee is the prefrontal cortex, where we can have rational thought. So we have to activate both sides of this brain system. So you have to get emotional about your goal and make sure it's positive emotions and constructive and resourceful emotions. That's the hippocampus and the amygdala. And then you also have to have the set of questions around the strategy of the plan of how you're going to reach this particular outcome. And that's the really interesting part, because every day when you visualize the outcome, you should be making steps towards that outcome consistently. Okay. And we can talk through what some of those steps are.
Yeah, and I agree with this visualization part because back in 2020, around that time, I started my business, and one of my goals was to get a new Skoda, right?
Yeah.
To me, as someone who was, 19 years old, that was more like a dream, Chris. Like, that was my dream. I wanted to own a car, and I didn't want my parents to pay for it, because if I would ask, they won't. So that's the thing. So what I did was very simple. I had a picture of the car on my phone, because I was trying to do DMs to people around the world to work with me at that time as a freelancer. And what I was also doing is, wherever I see that car while I'm going to the gym, walking down the street, because I didn't have a car, I had to walk, right, to the gym. Okay. So what I used to do is, wherever the car I see, I just click the picture. Okay. And then I keep seeing it before sleeping at night. And that's something because I wanted it. And that happened to me. I didn't read about visualization or abundance before that. So once I saw that and kept doing it, 6-7 months down the line, July 12th, 2021, I bought Skoda.
Yeah.
First car. That happened not just because I was working, but also because I won in my mind that I'm going to have it. And when you win here, you can win in all other areas of achieving that part. And that's my take on it. And moving forward, Chris, according to you, like, how do the same beliefs that I had, right? Like, how do our own beliefs about identity influence set or abandon our goals? What's your take on that?
I think it's very much linked to what Ollie's just taken everyone through in terms of identity. You have to believe and visualize yourself as the person you want to be in the future. You have to feel like them. You have to see like them, hear like them, feel like them. It's not impossible, but it's difficult if you're setting out to achieve something, but you don't believe you are that person. So take a very simple explanation. I'd never run a marathon before. I never considered myself a runner. Before I went out for my first run, I started calling myself a runner because I had to believe I was that person. I had to step into the identity of a marathon runner. So my first run was about 5K, and it was quite slow for a 5K compared to what I can do now. But I still called myself a marathon runner, even though I'd never run it. So that's what, that's a very simple explanation, example of it. But what Ollie has just taken you through in terms of see, the outcomes, see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel as it's happened. That's the same about the identity of who you want to be. If you don't believe you can achieve it, you're already telling yourself not to bother trying. You're already telling yourself you failed. You're already putting a blocker in front of you to make the path more difficult. Make it easy for yourself by backing yourself and believing that I am that person.
Can I actually just answer that as well, Rohit?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, please.
That's a great example of the reticular activating system doing the opposite of what you wanted to do, but it's still working. Your brain does not know the difference between positives and negatives. It's the label you put on things. So, for example, when I nearly went bankrupt, it was one of the best experiences of my life. Now, at the moment, it was horrendous. It was awful. But actually, on reflection, I've managed to use my visualization mind to reprogram and restructure how I see it in my mind. Because you can hold on to trauma, you can hold on to bad things, and you can visualize that every morning when you wake up to protect yourself from it. I never want to go there again. All right. But actually, if you're outcome orientated and you visualize the outcome you want when you wake up every morning, you will feel better about yourself. You will feel that you have more capabilities and confidence to go out there and achieve those things rather than hanging on to the sort of negative elements of your life that's happened to you. So it's a much more supportive way of using the RAS system, because actually, as far as we're aware, Chris and I, agree on this, this is one opportunity that we need to maximize. It's called life. So why don't we just go out there, and it'll be high and low, but let's maximize the highs and learn from the lows.
And there are moments as well that you feel stuck. You don't know where to go. So what would be your answer, Oliver? And this is for both of you, right? If someone comes to you as a coaching client and they would say, listen, Oliver, listen, Chris, I've tried everything. Nothing's working out. So what would be your immediate advice to that? Okay, this is the first step you should take so that you can go out of this flow and then start doing something.
Chris, do you want to take that first?
Yeah, I think I've tried everything. The first thing is that's a generalization that we, everything is my first question. Tell me, another thing is, tell me someone who has achieved what you're trying to do. What have they done? It's called modeling. Take someone who's achieved it. What have they done? Specifically, who were they? What skills did they have? What actions did they take? What did they have around them? And then look to where you are and go, how can you narrow that gap? How can you become that person? With modeling, this is the other thing with modeling. You find someone who's achieved it before, and then what people do is go, well, I'll take elements of it and I'll add that into what I do. No. If that's worked, do that. So if you've tried everything, the first thing is you're telling yourself a generalization. Have you tried everything? Well, no, maybe I haven't tried. Okay, so you've removed that limiting belief of you've tried everything. Okay, good. Let's find someone who has tried it and let's model on them. Do exactly as they did. Think like they did. Behave like they did. Surround yourself with what they had. It's not cheating. People say, oh, I'm copying someone else. It's cheating. You're not. You're finding someone who's achieved it and you're using the tools they had and applying them to what you're trying to achieve. But the first thing to do is remove that limiting belief. Challenge the generalization of everything. Remove that limiting belief, because then that will give you the opportunity to open up more choice. Ollie, I don't know if you want to contribute to that.
No, yeah, totally. I love modeling, Rohit. It's just It's a wonderful tool that everyone should learn to master. Okay? Because just as Chris said, look, I've tried everything. It's a limiting belief. No one's tried everything. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. But
well, that's an eye opener for me because what Chris was saying, I felt okay. That's an eye opener because whoever would say I tried everything hasn't.
no, that's right. Yeah, I mean, how can you've tried everything? So the point is, and it goes back to the first point really, which is just allowing people the space just to stop and think more effectively. Because when you're under stress, what happens is, you can imagine the amygdala pops up, and this is the fight or flight response, and it narrows your line of sight on the dangerous thing in front of you, whether it's a tiger or a bear, right? You don't see anything else. You just focus on the problem. And so when people are saying, I've tried everything, what they're actually saying is, I don't know what to do next. And what Chris is saying is, the best option you can do is just stop and go, right, let's find someone who is doing what you're doing or wanting to do and is doing it really well. All right. And let's just break it down into 3 easy parts because your brain likes 3s. It's not too overwhelming and it's not insignificant. So I always say to people, let's imagine you're them now. What are the 3 things they're doing that we need to talk about that we can integrate into your strategy, your approach? What's the first thing? Just help them calm down and manage step by step where they want to be. And modeling is such a great tool because you can't argue with it. You can't. It's impossible to argue with it. If you want to run a marathon, model Chris, right? But if you say, I can't, well, what's Chris done? What are the 3 things? If we were to ask Chris, what were the 3 things he mastered to enable him to get that outcome? And they start from there.
I've heard it from a podcast, like how would I usually go about any situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I see Chris can do it or Oliver can do it, there's no way I can't. That's what I feel immediately. If I see if Chris can run 10 kilometers in this much more time, there's no reason I can't.
Yeah.
Or Oliver can't, right? That's what I feel. So that kind of immediately takes me to the next step. Now, how to do it. And when you're how to do it, you just do it and then you learn about it. Right? The more reps you do, the more the daily runs are going to help. It's always the how much you bleed behind the scenes comes in war, how much you can, keep going.
Yeah.
And that has helped me in like more ways than just one. Like I used to write copy, right, for a living 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still reading this today.
Oh, right.
How to seduce and persuade customers. So if I were to tell people or my clients, okay, this is something that we should do, I need to learn it myself each and every day, right? And I need to get better. But it's the belief that keeps you going, keeps that will to win consistently. Yeah. And I completely agree with both of you in those standpoints, right?
Yeah.
And right now, we have to run into another quick break. But when we come back, we will deep dive into building resilience when things get messy, when you're trying a lot of things and things are still getting messier and there's no proper structure to it. Chris and Oliver will share the exact tools that they give their clients to stay grounded in high pressure situations. You're going to take notes of it. Plus, they're going to share about something that's coming up that they're doing in 3 months' time. So I'll see you after this quick break.
All right, let's get straight to it. If you're watching this, it means you're already different from the majority. Most people settle. Most people make excuses. Most people will never become the person they know deep down they were meant to be.
But here's the thing, you don't have to be most people. This November, we're hosting something extraordinary, the High Performance Summit. The 14th, 15th and 16th of November in Marbella, Spain, at Hotel Los Monteros, an iconic exclusive setting for elite transformation. But only 30 people get in. That's it, no more.
This isn't theory. This isn't motivational fluff. This is real, battle-tested personal transformation. We've already helped hundreds of entrepreneurs, leaders, athletes and high performers across Europe and beyond completely rewire how they think, how they perform and how they live. From 7-figure business owners breaking through plateaus, to corporate leaders transforming their influence, to people who were stuck for years finally unlocking their confidence and self-belief.
And it works. Not because it sounds good, but because it's built on proven, no nonsense frameworks that you can apply instantly to shift your mindset, your outcomes, and your future. Here are some on-screen testimonial clips.
We went from £60,000 turnover last year to a projected turnover of 1.3 million by the end of January 2024.
I've known Ollie, dare I say, for almost 20 years, and the training, the tactics, the methodology that Ollie has been able to instill in me has been paramount to my success as an individual.
I have to say, over the last 6 months, it really has made such a difference to my business. The things that I've achieved I couldn't have even dreamed about it, all thanks to the help and the mentorship that I've got from Chris and CH4B and the wider team.
I've recently completed The Business Brain by Oliver Thompson. Now, I can't tell you how useful this has been to me. And ever since I've done The Business Brain, I have never been so focused and switched on and in get shit done mode. If you're thinking of doing The Business Brain, stop thinking, just do it. You won't regret it.
By the end of day one alone, you'll understand exactly why you've been stuck and how to break through it fast. You'll master influence, build powerful relationships, and learn how to make people listen when you speak.
And for those wondering, yes, we've done this before. We've seen people go from self-doubt to boardroom dominance, from hiding in the background to owning their space, from chronic procrastination to unstoppable momentum. And every single one of them started the same way, by deciding to show up for an event like this.
£5,000 plus VAT. And before you ask, no, it's not cheap. But neither is wasting another year playing small while others pass you by. And 5 lucky attendees will win complimentary tickets to bring someone along. Plus up to 20% rewards back on your investment.
And let's be clear, this isn't for everyone. It's for the 1%, the decision makers, the risk takers, the rare few who aren't afraid to invest in themselves.
If you're ready to finally back yourself to step into the high performance leader you know you can be, click the button below. Secure your place before it's gone, because those 30 places won't be available for long.
So, hello everyone, welcome back to another segment of this episode of the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. I'll quickly welcome back Chris and Oliver on the stage. So, Oliver, Chris, what we were discussing before this was all about structuring, mindset, taking a step back, adjusting, and how to overcome those things. So, Chris, how do you guide your clients to regulate emotions and stay decisive under stress? Because a lot of people are doing a lot of things, right? But how to navigate and have a clear clarity of structure in their life just so that they can upload?
I find to try and keep it simple for people, watching and listening to this, emotions can be really difficult for people to understand and explain. We all have feelings, we all feel our emotions, but they present themselves differently to each individual. So one of the first things is to try and help people understand what their emotion is to them. What, you mentioned stress there. What is stress to them? And one of the exercises we go through is almost helping people create a thing that turn their emotion into a thing, is the simple way to explain it. So I'd get someone to think back to when they experienced a moment of stress, go back to that moment, actually take themselves into it, see what they're seeing. So what's happening on around them, what's going on in front of them, hear what they're hearing around them, and feel what they're feeling inside. And then I would get them to start describing the feeling. So what does it look like? What shape is it? What color is it? What does it sound like? Is it making a noise? And I'm doing this process quicker for the sake of time. And then what does it feel like? Is it warm? Is it moving? And they turn that emotion into a thing, because now they can start to experience it. So they might describe stress as here in their chest. It's a spiky ball. It's vibrating. It's making quite a loud humming noise. But they can now understand their emotion, and they can understand what happened leading up to that emotion Maybe it started small and it started to grow. Once you understand and you can describe your emotion and how it's being triggered, you can interrupt the pattern. So you can start to learn how you can interrupt that pattern, identify it happening. Because what happens when you experience something is you receive information and then you respond. And what we want to do is interrupt that pattern before the response. Now, this process, when we take people through it, Ollie and I, it takes a little longer than the 60 seconds I've tried to just explain it in. But essentially what I try and do to help people regulate their emotions is first be able to describe them and understand how they occur, then start teaching them how they, once they've identified that, how they can interrupt the pattern and choose a more helpful state to be in for the context they're in. Because that's the other thing about emotions and feelings is they might be strong in some, they might be helpful in some contexts and unhelpful in others. So there might also be times when you want to be able to pick an alternative response. Now, obviously you mentioned earlier in 3 months' time, we're doing the High Performance Summit. This will be something that we take people through over those 3 days in more detail so that we can really make them experience it, because it's all good me sitting here and telling you about it. But what we want to do on the summit is actually get you experiencing these techniques, going through the process so that you know how to use them more effectively. But yeah, the first thing to regulate emotions, I think you need to understand where they come from and how they materialize within you so that you can then interrupt the pattern.
Love that. Oliver, you want to share something on that?
Yeah, I do actually. It's we're really big, especially in what we do about personal empowerment, because the world is a complex place, right? And it interferes, the environment, the world around us interferes with our happiness, health, and success all the time. And actually, our brain is leading us towards being led by the environment. And what we have to do is self-manage, because we have to be counterintuitive, believe it or not, because there are a lot of things in this life that we can worry about and stress about. And it's designed that way. And on the summit, what we want to try and do is take the sort of the 1%, the sort of people that are elite thinkers who want to go to the next level, to rethink how they can self-manage. And some of the strategies that we deliver on the summit are cutting edge. They're pioneering. They're not the social norm, right? We can sit all day and watch the news and feel terrible. We can read the newspapers. We can listen to people who are moaning and complaining, and that's natural. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But actually, to live a fulfilling life, we have to learn to emotionally regulate and look at what the outcomes are we're looking to achieve, and find ways, strategies, and tools to enable us to live a fulfilling life. And guess what? Life is difficult. So it's not about avoiding difficulty. It's about embracing difficulty in chaos, because that's where that unique person, that elite person, that 1% can thrive and not just survive.
Agree. And one of the key things that I believe Chris touched a little bit earlier is it's one thing to tell you and wrap it up in 60 seconds, and it's another to actually be there, act on it, deliver on it, learn from it, and then executing later in your life. So I believe and to all our viewers right now, if you're someone who's looking for it, who's looking for a massive shift in your life, and whose performance is not there anymore, or you want to take it to the next level, this is the summit for you. 3 days of actual learning, real life success stories, and real life results. When you're surrounded by people who are all there to take it to the next level, everything changes. And I believe it's all about environment. And I want to talk to you about environment, because with the right environment, you can grow. Yeah. I've been with, what I've learned is, like, back in 2017, I used to have been with people who were doing business and who were 10 years elder to me, instead of someone who was 17. Because if someone who was 17, I would have been with someone at that time. Where I live in India, Delhi, I would have got addicted to either alcohol at that time, or maybe something else at that time, smoking and stuff like that. And it's easier to get addicted when there's peer pressure versus when you're with someone who's 10 years elder to you, who has known it and learned it, had failed, and they could tell you and give you a reality check. And that has helped me. And that's the power of having the right environment. So when you are with 50 people in a mastermind who have a mission, who have a reason to be there, who are there to take it to the next level, things change. What's your take on that, Chris, Oliver?
I think it's having the right people around you is 100% true. I will take you back to there was a trip. My brother decided to do something for himself, and he made a big change in his life, and he moved to somewhere he'd always longed to move. And it made me stop and think, why am I where I am? And I looked at the people I had around me, and I realized the people around me weren't helping me. I chose to get divorced. I chose to move house. I stopped seeing a big group of friends that I used to hang around with, because actually the impact they were having on me as an individual wasn't helping where I actually wanted to be and the life I wanted to live. So the environment you're in is really important. The people you allow around you is really important. That's why at the summit, we're only inviting, as Ollie said, the top 1%, because we want a room full of people, an environment full of people that are there at the top of their game and wanting to keep pushing themselves further. We don't want people that are necessarily doubting and wanting to just coast. Well, I've reached a good level. I'm quite happy to stay here. Okay, that's fine. If you're happy to stay where you are, don't come on the summit. But if you want to keep progressing, come on the summit. I didn't want to live the life that I was living, and I had to take a big, hard look at myself and go, I'm in the wrong relationship. I've got the wrong friends around me for the life I want to live. And so I changed that. So also finding the right environment and making the change isn't always easy. But if it's for the greater good of where you want to go, it's a choice you have to make.
I completely agree with it. And whoever who's looking to at least have a conversation with Oliver and Chris regarding the summit, so the link will be written right here. And then you can log in and have a quick conversation with both Chris and Oliver before having, before you want to come. So it's important, right? Because people who are coming, they're being qualified first. And that's the key here. So moving forward, and Oliver, this is a question, and Chris, this is a question that I saw while I was researching today's notes. What should I ask? What would be convenient? And there's one question that I said, okay, this is something that's new. This is something which is different, right? And it was written like, can discipline exist without burnout? Like something new to me. I've never heard, like, I understand burnout, I understand discipline, like, but can discipline exist without burnout? And that's a question.
Shall I answer that, Chris?
Go for it.
Okay. Yes, it can. But we have to understand what it all means. So if you want to achieve something remarkable, okay, what we have to do is understand, like we've said, what the outcome looks like, and we have to have a strategy for it. Now, there are 3 elements that people need to start mastering to enable them to achieve remarkable things, to achieve greatness. The first thing is motivation. Motivation is important. When you wake up in the morning and you're visualizing what you want to achieve, the outcome architecture, and then you have the strategy and the plan in place, some of the things you're going to have to do are not particularly exciting. They're dull, they're boring, they're painful, but you have to do it anyway. So motivation will get you out of bed and it will get you excited for the day. But it's not enough, because motivation is like the tide. It comes and goes. You know this. You can watch a film or read a part of a book and you feel exhilarated for an hour, but then it just burns off. All that adrenaline disappears. So the next thing you need to master is discipline, because discipline is getting out of bed and doing what Chris and I have done when running marathons, is running at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's raining, when you don't want to, but you have to, or 8 o'clock at night and doing 18 miles because you have to. It's not a choice. It's a necessity. Most people lack motivation, but I'll tell you what, they don't understand the importance of discipline, right? So when you look at people who are great gold medal winners, successful entrepreneurs, film stars, they've dedicated themselves to doing the stuff that's boring and dull that you don't see. And then the third element is knowledge and wisdom. if you're not consistently learning from your experiences, if you're not failing but growing from the experience and adding that to your toolkit of knowledge and wisdom and then putting it into the playbook, what are you doing? Right? So all of these three elements, when you combine them, motivation, discipline, and wisdom, they're really effective. You won't burn out if you're disciplined, because part of discipline is taking time out. I know this. I'm doing it. I have to take some time out because what we do is very cognitive. It's very immersive. And we can't do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have to have time out. Everyone does. Even you ask any great athlete, they will have to take time out. Okay. So it's important to understand what burnout actually looks like. And some people, and I know this, I've noticed patterns. They can't say no. They're not emotionally regulated. Okay. They're not learning and growing. They're just doing tasks constantly all day, every day, working hard, thinking that's how you get success. Working hard is not how you get success. Working smart is how you get success. Motivation, discipline, and wisdom.
I completely agree with that. And I believe one of the big things that I've also seen is the moment I step back a little bit and then visualize and then write down my goals, I do effective work than just doing the work.
Yeah.
What happens is when you have like a checklist of things to do, your life is easier.
Yeah.
And that kind of prevents burnout because then you have timelines. So today before the show, I had to record another one, right? Before that, I had to do a sales call. Before that, I had to do a strategy. And before that, I had to go out and play pickleball because I just started loving it when I went train, right? So I've kind of made sure that I wake up on time and make sure I play pickleball and then come back for my team meeting.
Yeah, that's right.
But no matter what. And it's a non-negotiable.
Correct.
And it's been like that all my life since I was 15 years, work out or play.
Yeah.
Consistently, at least 3 or 4 times a week, no matter what. And that helps a lot.
It does. I study mixed martial arts, and it's been a 9-year journey so far. You never stop learning, and you have to do something, in my opinion, every day to optimize your ability to be a martial artist. And that could just be watching some UFC fights and learning from that. It doesn't have to be a physical experience because I'm visualizing what they're doing. I like that. So then you practice that the next day. It's not always being active and being on all the time. Sometimes you have to just decompress a little bit.
I always have the line, life is learning. You've got to remain curious. Just observe what's going on, remain curious, take that information in.
Yeah.
So like Chris said, we got to remain curious and we got to remain curious for what's going to come next. So see you right after this break. And when we come back, Chris and Oliver, they'll share practice they rely to reset when life gets noisy. And we are going to talk about high performance and leadership habits, plus a quick and fun rapid fire at the end. So I'll see you right after this break. As a coach or a consultant, your focus should be on transforming lives, not struggling to get clients. That's where my company Amplify Media comes in to help you not just scale your business, but to consistently give you the revenue that your business deserves. We actually build a done-for-you lead generation acquisition system that brings in clients consistently so that you don't have to worry about where the next client is coming in. You focus on the most important thing that is scaling your business and impacting your own coaching clients. From high-impact marketing and scroll-stopping content to expert funnel creation, we take your business from point A to point B with precision. Coaches and consultants worldwide trust the company. We have over 277 plus clients, case studies all around the world, help tons and tons of businesses scale. So your next level is waiting. Let's make your brand unforgettable and visit the website today. I would love to offer you a free strategy session to share with you how we can help scale your business. Thank you. So hello everyone, welcome back to the Empower Entrepreneur TV show. I'll welcome my guests again, Chris and Oliver. And we were having conversations about peak performance and human potential. Oliver, according to you, what trend or shift are you noticing in today's leaders consistently that's holding them back from realizing their greatest potential?
That's very, very easy. A great colleague of mine called David Klassen is a neuroscientist, actually. And we were talking about this earlier this week. And digital dementia is now a topic. Okay. We are overwhelmed with emails, social media, text messages, WhatsApps, Slack, It's just being thrown at us left, right, and center. And then you've got AI, ChatGPT. And then what's happening is our brains are being bombarded with information from technology, but also then we're using technology to dumb down our own ability to think for ourselves. So ChatGPT is an amazing invention. It's a tool that I use a lot. Copilot, wonderful. All of these things are great additions to the toolkit of being an entrepreneur and doing what I do. But you can't rely on these things. And what people do is they rely on email to communicate. They rely on WhatsApp to build relationships. They rely on AI to write documents and blogs. And you can't do that. And what's happening is people are getting distracted more. People are perfectionists now. People are worried about failure because they're not activating all aspects of their brain. They're putting their power on computers and phones. And they call it a sort of, oh, I'm forgetting things, or I'm missing meetings, or I'm not able to build relationships with people. I'm not leaving the house. And this is not dementia. This is just our choice, our cognitive choice sometimes to rely too much on information coming from systems and leaders that just overwhelm staff with technicalities, with systems that are really good. But sometimes, one or two systems are great, not 10 different systems. And I go into businesses and I can speak to business owners and they've achieved great success, but they haven't stood on stage and told their 50 or 100 staff. They've sent them an email. So when I go to the staff, did you realize what this business has achieved this year? They go, no. Well, did you see the email? Was that the thing that so-and-so sent on? Stand up and present, engage, connect with your team members. So I talk about this a lot, which is not just AI, but getting a combination of HI, human intelligence, make them work together. That's the key.
I love that. And Chris, according to you, what's how do you both personally define success today versus when you started? Both of you.
Success today, my definition of success is just making progress every day, taking a little step forwards. I used to think success was achieving the big end goal, which, is great. Celebrate when you do reach a milestone and a big end goal. But what happens if you are focused purely on that end goal? And obviously we do need to focus on the outcome. That's how you create the outcome architecture. But you need to enjoy the process along the way, because otherwise you reach that goal and you go, so what? I got to the end of the marathon and I got a medal. Woohoo! I got a medal. I then took the medal off a few hours later and maybe half a day later, put it on the desk. Okay, what's next? That's what comes up. But actually, when you go success is every step leading up to it, the progress you make every day. Oh, I've made this little step. Oh, I managed my first 18-mile run. Now I've just managed my first 20-mile run. Oh, I managed to get out in the peeing down rain and complete a run even though I didn't want to. That's success. When you're working in business and you're going, we're trying to hit that first million, and you then celebrate that sale there, which is chipped away towards that goal. Celebrate those moments, because people don't celebrate enough of the little things and enough of the progress along the way. That's what success is to me now.
Perfect. And to you, Oliver?
Success, I think doing the difficult things is important. We're addicted to getting an adrenaline rush, a cortisol rush from simple things. You can just press a button and you can get a lot of things for you. You can sit on the sofa all day. You can watch Netflix, have a glass of wine and have a nice pizza. And it's the worst thing you can do for yourself. But to actually go out and, put a business plan together, go to the gym, phone someone that you've let down recently and you haven't seen for ages. Those are the difficult things that can build resilience in your mind and your body. We need to be more resilient. And I just think, just linking to what Chris is saying, little nudges every day towards the goals builds resilience and grit. And that is a skill, an art that is diminishing. And I think that's a really concerning thing.
Love that. And it's all about when you start your hair, right? And then you elevate yourself each and every time and you go to the next step. And once you learn all that, every definition becomes a little different because I would say what I wanted, I believe 4 years ago, I have those things. but now the goals have changed. I'm looking for something else, right? So I believe that's also a human mind, the survival brain that we came from. That's also there. There's something new. You want that, right? As a human, and taking consistent action. And there's a word that I've learned that called Kaizen, continuous improvement, right? Each and every day, you want to have continuous improvement in what you're doing. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Which leaves me to the last thing for the show today. This is a quick rapid fire. So I'll ask both of you, right? One daily habit that changed your life. Chris, you start.
Waking up at the same time every day.
Oliver.
Mine is noticing patterns in myself so I can change them if they're not working.
A book everyone should read. Chris.
Profit first. I can obviously, I feel I can help people with their mind, but profit first really gets you to understand the money in your business.
Oliver.
How to Train Your Business Brain by some man called Oliver Thompson. Got to do a bit of promo there.
And your go-to mental reset when you feel overwhelmed, Chris.
I lie on the floor and do some breathing for 5 minutes.
Oliver.
Two things. I either exercise or I do some meditation mindfulness.
Okay. One myth about success that needs to die immediately as of right now.
You don't have to work hard all the time. You are allowed to pause and work smarter.
Oliver.
And mine is, it links to patterns. Notice patterns in yourself. Don't be afraid of them. Change them if they're not working, keep them if they are working, but also notice patterns in the environment and other people that you're working with, because it's such an awakening for people. If you don't notice patterns, you're asleep.
Okay, last one. Every entrepreneur, finish this sentence, by the way. Every entrepreneur needs to, Chris.
Be kind to themselves.
Oliver.
Redesign themselves consistently.
Love that. So that ends our show for today. And first of all, I really appreciate both of you joining in today, sharing your strategies, deep dive opinions. And to everyone who wants to learn more about Chris and Oliver, so could you let know how people can contact you, Oliver, and then Chris, please?
Yes. So on LinkedIn, Oliver Thompson. On Instagram, it's OliT07. And my website is oliverthompsontraining.co.uk.
Chris?
I'm also on LinkedIn, Chris Gault. You can get me at thebankofknowledge.co.uk. And then you can get either of us at thehighperformancesummit.co.uk as well.
Yeah.
Well, 3 months from now, big one, Marbella, Spain. It's time. So, yeah, thanks everyone for being on the show today. It was amazing to have you both. And it was an amazing, I believe I learned a lot. Good. Although I do every week when I talk to you, but I kind of learned a lot of things. And here's what I feel. If I learn, then everyone else who watched it will learn too. So, again, thanks for being on the show. I'll see everyone on the Empower Entrepreneur TV show, Season 2, next week, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Success isn't for the chosen few. It's for those who choose to show up, take action, and never back down. This is the Empower Entrepreneur, hosted by Rohit, Soni, airing across 185 countries, 26 plus TV networks, and 100 plus podcast stations. You've heard the strategies, you've seen the mindset. Now it's time to execute. I'll see you next week, every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. Go, build, dominate. Until next time, stay empowered.